film in the Sabeltenic. Serrat and Sabina, two for the road. We got the director, Francesc Relea, Joaquin Sabina, and Joan Manuel Serrat, the protagonists of the film, and the producers, Isabel Yuger and Tono Folguera. And whatever, they're eagerly awaiting your questions. And the first question is over here on the left. Please go ahead. Hi, good morning. I love the documentary. I had a great time, and I love the point of view that Francesc Relea has used, because he tells us something which is still something unseen. It's another way of filming two artists. And I would like to ask Serrat and Sabina, during your careers, you've had the possibility of being involved in cinema. Do you feel like extraterrestrials in the strange world of cinema, or not so much? And the second question is whether you think cinema should be used more as a weapon of massive construction. No, I don't feel strange at all in this world. I don't feel strange here in San Sebastian. In this, I don't feel strange at all. Here in San Sebastian, I have a lot of affection for this city, and with this film festival, which I've attended on other occasions, I've been fortunate enough to be invited. No, I don't feel strange at all, and I don't feel strange with the world of cinema, because it is one of my educational weapons. That is, I educate myself, and I've always educated myself with cinema throughout my entire life. Cinema has been a refuge for me, for my teenage years and adolescence. It's a box of dreams, shall we say, for my youth and knowledge throughout my entire life. On the other hand, I've done 3 films as a protagonist, so therefore I know how the world of making movies is about. And I think my work with cinema has been extraordinary, especially the day that I stopped making cinema, having abandoned and have sworn not making any more films, as being my greatest contribution to this fantastic art. So therefore I don't feel strange at all. My friends make films, my friends dream with films, and they dream in cinemas, and I will believe to do, and I will continue to do so throughout my whole life. How well he speaks, it's impressive. Because obviously he takes full advantage that he's made 3 films as a protagonist, and I aspired to the Oscar, to the worst tertiary or Oscar, which was won by Paco Bedrio. But I'm very happy with the fact that Francesc Relea had made this film, because both tours Serrat and I did, fundamentally the Latin American side of the tours, we thought there was a celebration of friendship, of being together on the road and on the stage, and to share with several generations a type of democratic illusion and dreams in countries that have been so badly treated. And I think that appears in the film. There's a certain biography of Joan Manuel, much longer than mine, not because it's much longer than mine, because he's older than me, just in case you wanted to know. So, and then there's also a relationship absolutely of love with those countries where a bit of everything happened while we were sharing and singing our songs with all of these people. And I think that Francesc Relea has told a story of certain cities which have been well prepared as regards to massive construction or destruction. Please, with what's going on now, let's try to construct as much as we can.
Adelante.
Hi. Congratulate you for the documentary. I thought it was great, how it's constructed, and I think it was a documentary recommended to take a handkerchief, because it makes you cry. It should be shown at schools, and I think that, albeit that we're out of competition, a golden shell would be very good, even if it wasn't a gold shell. Whatever it was, no matter what the shell was made of. I want to ask the director, how was the working with both of them through the production process, and to ask both of them whether there's any possibility of another tour between the two of you. Another one. Shh, don't say anything. To work with both of them, the truth be said, has been a pleasure. Well, both of them on their own work very well, and they tell us everything. So therefore, the idea I had was to, and as has been mentioned here, to tell a part or to give some brushstrokes of the history of Latin America through both of them, because it seems to me that we didn't know too much, or we still do not know to what extent these two protagonists are absolutely deeply rooted and involved in the entire Latin American continent. So therefore, it's been quite easy to work with both of them, and trying to not get in the way. I think we set up in different stages of the tour without getting too burdensome on both of them, and when we saw that we were on the limit, on the verge of doing that, we disappeared and got out of the way. Yes, well, there were more questions. The question was much longer. It's whether we had foreseen another tour. He doesn't know yet. We're thinking about making another tour. We're thinking for 2017 or 2018, more or less. And now that the life expectancy is getting longer and longer, we've also got the title is Third Time Lucky, and then we will have to think what we use as songs within the title. And then another thing I would like to clear up, and which concerns me at this moment in time, because I'm older than Joaquin, but as you can see, he looks much older than me. And I'm not too sure whether he's going to make it to 2018, but we'll see. He's a good singer, but he's a bad person. Hi, Jordi Oliva from TV3 Catalonian TV. A Mexican journalist defines you as the symbol and the Cuate, the symbol in the body. I think I would ask you, because you prefer to be Keith Richards than Mick Jagger. Are you like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones? The Beatles would be my cousin over here, who's much better looking. Obviously, I'm much more handsome than he is. And he is the buddy because he's more down to earth. He's more down to earth. He's more... And because I drink tequila, because he drinks more than I do. No, we don't make those comparisons, but I was worried when I was concerned when I was at the university, at the faculty in Granada. You had to be you had to like the Beatles or Neruda or Vallejo or the Rolling Stones. I like the four, albeit Paul McCartney's a bit of, don't like him too much. I think that comparison is a bit excessive, because I would have liked very much to write songs like Eleanor Rigby, for example, or Here, There and Everywhere, or many of the songs. The very few years the Beatles sang that obviously form part of all my imaginary, artistic imagination and sentimental. And sentimentally speaking, that's another question. Yours also form part of the imagination of many people, you know that. And the second question is, what difference exists between the audience on this side of the Atlantic and the other side of the Atlantic? And whether you want to answer in Catalan, Manuel Serrat said, Joaquin Sabina will translate for you, if you want to say something in Catalan. Okay, thank you very much. This is good. There's nothing like speaking to the producers before doing something so that the rest of the people can find out what's going on. The audiences are different every day. And he says he's very happy to be in San Sebastian. So they're different every day, and they're different in every gig. And obviously, behavior in the Spanish state and the behavior of an audience, be it Basque or an audience from Madrid or Barcelona or from Seville, are very different. Just like the same way they understand how to spend one's life in Barcelona or Seville, obviously. He says that the rain in Spain lies mainly on the plain, and also the American audiences. What happens is, I think that there's something we shouldn't forget, is that the American audience depends upon their interest and the information of they're going to see you. The people in Latin America can't talk of whatever they want, or Quechuas. The Quechuas don't come to our concerts or any concerts. They've got another completely different world and life. Who sees our concert? He says that, end of quote. The audience have information of us, but the audience has similar things. Obviously, they've gone through university or have gone through, and that means that to a certain extent there's a certain behavior that is similar sometimes. He says, why don't I shut up? And he asked me, and I'm saying now in Spanish, I imagine everyone understood, and the Latin American audience is different to that of the Spain. And I said, well, not only in Spain, the audience is different according to where they come from, but he's saying this now in Spanish, by the way, it's the same as in Latin America, depending on what they're going to see, and according to their information, and according to their level of education, because the Quechuans and the Quechuas don't come to our concerts, unfortunately. They've got other problems, they've got another life, another world. The Latin American audiences we have in Latin America, as I was saying, are of many generations that have immigrated there, but at the end of the day, it's the Creole audience and the immigration audience, and that have something in common, because the possibility of going to university or having gone to school or the access of our music is also limited to certain, shall we say, channels that aren't the most popular, perhaps, in Catalonia. He was much more radical when he said that in Catalonian or in Catalan. You translate really badly. I thought you did a better job. From Univision Networks in the US and South America, I would like to ask you, what's the place that Latin America has in your heart after so many years, and the importance in the difficult moments in life, and the importance that those audiences have in those difficult times to overcome things at that time? I think that I took full advantage of a little path that Joan Manuel had opened up, who was the first man who really went not to give some concerts, but to travel within a van in moments where he couldn't come back to Spain. I think that that path that he opened up for me, it was like the path of Damascus in the biblical sense of the term. I took full advantage of it. I am enormously thankful to him for having opened up and shown me that path and that journey. There's a lot in Latin America. Every city keeps in on the bottom of your heart. For example, we shared Montevideo, Buenos Aires. I think he has more, she likes Chile more than me. Both of us like Mexico, lindo and beloved Mexico. And a part of my heart of Havana as well. There are thousands of places, and I sleep with a Peruvian woman, so imagine what that's all about. I share with what he said, but I don't sleep with the Peruvian girl. I share absolutely what my colleague has just said. Not the Peruvian, because she doesn't want to, with me. What has linked Sabina and Serrat? A song, an ideology, or because you have nothing in common, like good marriages? And secondly, we're being bombarded with Catalonia, sovereignty. Madrid is the oppressor city. You're one from Madrid who's 100% Madrid and 100% from Catalonia. Is that could humor resolve this problem? I'll be quite brief. A lot of things link us, only two things separate it. My envy and his talent. That's the only thing that separates us. And as regards to sovereignty, I'm Andalusian, I live in Madrid, he's Catalan, and he's a citizen of the world, and we get along really well. I wish such was the case in everything. Well, the questions that you're asking me doesn't affect our relationship. Our relationship is absolutely quite clear. From the moment we've met, we have shared a long time in our lives together. We know each other very well. Mutual is nothing dark. None of us has to tell any lies in order to absolutely achieve anything amongst the both of us. As you can see, it's got nothing to do with the other thing that you mentioned.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hi, Paulina from Buenos Aires. And I would like to ask two questions. First of all, whether it's true you felt a bit pursued by the shooting team and the connection between the different generations that follow you. For example, I was brought up with your music, Juan Manuel, and then I started to listen to Joaquin, and I've gone to your concerts with my friends and our mothers. And how do you see that relation that exists? On behalf of Francesc and the team, well, they've been exquisite when they shot the film. And neither Juan Manuel and I wouldn't have allowed them to get into the toilet or the bathroom with us, but they've been exquisite. And when someone's on tour and playing every day, it's very difficult that you think that there are people that are shooting you. The truth is that you do what you want, and you're free to do it. I think that's one of the best things that the film has. As regards to the different generations, I think it's a luxury to be able to add generations instead of them to be a generation gap in the sentimental memory of the people that listen to us in our concerts. I agree with what he's just said. Further questions, please? No further questions? Yes, it seems at the back. Joan Manuel Serrat, yes, I would like to ask you. This documentary talks about the last trip that you made and tour in Latin America. What memories that you have, not of the last one, but of the first one? Well, my first trip was in 1969 to Latin America. America was a place which was very convulsive at that time, from north to south. Mexico, Tlatelolco events were still hot, and the effervescence and the pain of everything were represented by that, and the enormous frustration, the step backwards in coexistence in Mexico at the time. This was truly created at the same time a series of motivations so that younger people, the university students, could be reborn from the ashes. In Argentina, the Citrac events had the Cordobazo, and also the country was also in the middle of events. And America, from tip to tip, was full of dreams and fantasies and futures of new men. So, and as of there, I believed all of that, and I got involved, and I said, you're another person, and I felt very, and I incorporated myself into everything that went down that journey, and to a certain extent that continues up until the present day, with all of the ups and downs and vicissitudes. It's very difficult to draw any specific moments, but like Joaquin said, Mexico in 1975, due to my legal situation in Spain, I had to spend more time for a long time, and those forced vacations organized by the state here in Spain, I took advantage to get myself into a motorhome, a van, and to travel around Mexico playing in different towns. That's one of the greatest vital experiences in my life. I spent 5 months traveling all over Mexico, sleeping in road motels, playing at towns. The truth was, it was extraordinary, that trip. So that's how we could be talking about many anecdotes that could happen to anyone. And just like me, have not understood my profession as something of going to different places and get on a stage, play and sing and get back into your hotel and go back home. Well, to a certain extent, that's what has provided, quite probably, my education and my world of knowledge to try to how to treat people, to try to discover food and landscapes and habits and customs, and discover all of that one ignores, and to take them on and to share them, and so forth, just to be able to think that we're all very similar. That is to say, the people from here or anywhere else that have one color or a different color, that they pray to one god or another god, you understand, and that make love in one way or another way. At the end of the day, you stick them with a needle and they bleed and they love their children above anything else. And we all look quite similar. The truth is, it's been very good for me to learn all of this. I don't know what to say. The first time I started at Mexico, we believed that Mexico, we didn't have an audience. And it was in the old National Auditorium, which is much smaller than the one now. Not only did we have an audience, inconceivable for us, but it was an audience which was, from the suburbs. And I think there are two people disappeared on that day in that concert. So therefore, Mexico, we entered through the more suburb-type rock and roll, but on the same trip, we went to Buenos Aires, and we were exquisite intellectuals came to see me. So therefore, I came back to Spain without understanding anything. Then, subsequently, I started to understand why that occurred. Hi, good afternoon. I would like to ask the director, whether the documentary, you know, when it's going to be released, if it's going to be shown in the cinemas, commercial cinema. After filming, have you discovered something that you didn't know about the two protagonists? Yes, it's going to be released on the 27th. Initially, there are several cities: Barcelona, Madrid, Bilbao, San Sebastian, Seville, and Mallorca as well. We still have to confirm other cities and some other cinema theaters. I have discovered something that I didn't know. Whether I discovered something that I didn't know of the two protagonists. Well, to follow them for quite a long time throughout this tour in Latin America, what it has confirmed is to what extent the relationship there and back with the Latin American society, with those countries, Argentina, Mexico, and Chile. I think the influence of both of them as regards to Latin America, or the influence of Latin America upon them, is really impressive. And albeit I knew this and I thought it might exist, but I followed them a little bit in the first tour in the Mexico section, and Joan, I followed him in one of his tours in Argentina. Partly it has surprised me the level of involvement that they have is incomparable incomparable to what you see it as you may see them when you watch them here in Spain. I'd say it's even higher or greater. Hi. Initially for the director and for Master Serrat, because Sabina already knows about this. Thank you very much. I'm directing a film for pigmentary retinosis to struggle against this disease that I have in many people. I just simply, to quite be very brief, Master Serrat and the director of this documentary could, after the press conference, if you give me 2 minutes so that I can support my project in front of a camera, I would thank you very much. Thank you. Well, of course. I would like to ask the director of this opera prima, Francesc Relea, what feeling making the documentary? What have you learnt making this documentary, as it's your first one? Well, I've learnt and that the world of images, I knew it, but even though I abandoned it for quite a long time, before working for 20 years in a newspaper, I had worked for 4 years in TV3, making mini documentaries or short reports, but that had cooled down, and so and my relationship with documentaries. The truth is, there's been a return to the world of images, which has always, I've always been excited and passionate about, and the most important thing for me is I'm not too sure whether I've learnt, but to be able to have coexisted with these two characters for quite a long time, for me has been the best gift you could choose. It's been a true pleasure, especially at a personal and human level, where how complicated, it's not been easy, by the way, but it's been an exercise, a fascinating exercise.
Hola, buenos días.
Hi, good morning. Yesterday with the film, I laughed, I got very moved, and I learnt, and I would like to know, and I'm asking both of the artists, what have both of you learned from each other over this time that you've been together? And please, there's a very emotional part of the film, is almost at the end, that meeting with the children at a hospital. Could you please talk about that specific moment? Thank you. The meeting with the children is almost impossible to talk about it because it was something, was quite moving, and it was, these were children who had cancer. I went there because Serrat goes every year to that hospital, and I went with him. And I accompanied. There's no words, so you've got to see the images. And as regards to, what was the other question? What have you learned from him? What have you learned from me? All family and domestic virtues, that's what I've learned from him. A whole range of them. And as regards, and I would like to add something as regards El Larrajan, it's a hospital in Buenos Aires that, apart from being public and apart from of having a team of doctors and nurses and personnel and staff which are fully, and they lack everything that you may imagine, and even a few more. It's a place which takes care of something which is very important, not only of taking care of the ill children that come from the entire republic, but to also shelter the mothers so that they don't separate them from their children. And this is the great piece of work that they carry out at this hospital, that we can say that may differentiate it from other hospitals and other places. In the same way, playing there, it's not so much to go to play there to a group of children who are ill, who at the end of the day who don't know who you are, and they like partying, and yes, and everything that's a party, well, they love it, everything that moves, and there's musicians and people that are around them, and causing a bit of causing a lot of noise, but this moves the mothers very much. They say the older people who live under the anguish that you can imagine. Okay, these situations that are so personal and so difficult to share, well, they thank you very much, and that's the reason why it's worthwhile doing these things for them, the mothers, and the public advertising that you take, because when you come out here, you appear in the newspaper, on TV, people become more aware, pay money, and so that it's very good for the hospital, for the whole story at the end of the day. And from Joaquin, I've learned something which I will be very thankful for, is to be much more generous. He's a man who's extraordinarily generous, and also the great importance that striped socks have. Yes, I would like to ask Francesc, how was the process, the post-production process, and what was left in the ink pot, what stayed on the computer, and how was it to select the material, and whether both the singers and artists participated in the post-production? We recorded 90 hours, and 90 hours and reduce it to 82 minutes is work which is quite hard. Those 90 hours include 4 or 5 or 6 concerts, entire concerts, they say each concert 3 hours, but leaving to one side the concerts, there was a lot of material. So with Carlos Prieto, we did the editing. He's the editor. First of all, we had to view everything time and time again, select blocks of footage in different countries. This work we did, which is quite complicated and very slow, but we slowly but surely did it until we had 2 hours edited. To go from 2 hours to 82 minutes was like martyrdom. It wasn't worthwhile. You had to get rid of entire sequences. So therefore, you were always questioning. Eliminating one sequence was like ripping a piece of your heart out, and it was very complicated. And still now, I'm doubtful whether sequences that we left out shouldn't have been there, and some that we left there shouldn't have been there. So therefore, and plus we had a deadline in order to finish it. And I think the truth is the most complicated part, the most painful part were the 2 hours to 82 minutes. And that was the case. And as regards whether they participated, no, the truth is they saw the product already finished. They saw the final product and the result. And the truth is, I think, as it should be, by the way, because other thing would have gone against the film, I'm sure, if we'd have been involved. Hi, Xavi Serra from Ara. For Joan Manuel, a question. There's a moment where you talk about Joan Manuel as a symbol and Joaquin as the Cuate, or the buddy. Joaquin, does he accept that being called, and if you're comfortable with being called the buddy or the sidekick? Joan Manuel, being the symbol of many people, do you think that's a burdensome load to carry? That comes from Ricardo Rocha, a Mexican, extraordinary Mexican journalist and a great friend of ours. The sentence came out, he said, and Frances liked the sentence as the title of the documentary, and that's how it worked. It's not the result of anything that we've prepared. I don't think neither Ricardo would have prepared this sentence or phrase. But it is true, however, Joaquin, who is a person, apart from the work that each of us carry out, he awakens this feeling of a buddy, el cuate in Mexican, that you go out drinking, a drinking buddy in the evening, and you visit dives and places like this. And this makes up the legend of Joaquin that I'm not going to be in charge of destroying, because it's taken a lot of years for him to build it up and a lot of money to set up. But that's what it's all about. So therefore, to confront, to the end of the day, it places him at a level that's very close to me, and it places me in a place which is a bit more distant, because I'm called the symbol. But I think that both of us have had the great fortune of playing music for many, many years, and we believe within our own capacity and possibility to continue to do so. We've been fortunate enough to be able to share a lot with this music with people. People have made this music their own, and they construct parts of their life with this musical background. I think it's magnificent. I don't think that we should take the terms beyond what I'm just saying. I think it's very dangerous of believing that you're the symbol of anything. I sometimes see some examples of people who self-turn themselves into a symbol, and it produces a feeling in me of true shame of these people. I wouldn't want to make that mistake of something that I don't like very much. Hi, Mr. Serrat and Mr. Sabina, after many years of writing and so many things that you've said, you've still got something still to sing, or that you have not dared to address yet? I think that Galdós wrote a lot, and I'm sure if you'd have given him time to read to write, he would have written much more. And I think we haven't written half of what Galdós, much less. I don't know how much. There's so much to do, to write and to sing. There's still a lot to sing every day. Reality changes, and every day your feelings are different. Every day you have a birthday in your dream, and you meet people that deserve a song. There's still a lot to sing about. Thank you very much. We have to stop here. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.